Part 2.
All right, well, I got one for you then.
Okay.
This is one for you. Let me pull it up here. Okay. So I was tracking this story for the last 2 months, and I was, just for everyone that listens, I was trying to be exceptionally sensitive because it was a very interesting conversation. But it made the paper. This is in Mineral County. This is in the Cumberland Times. This is April 15th, so this would have been earlier this week.
Or end of last week.
What's today?
I don't know, but the 17th was Easter.
Okay,
So,
it would have been Friday.
yeah.
So this is Cumberland Times. The Mineral County Board of Education will vote on whether to approve former Frankfort Middle School principal Julia McBee's resignation during its meeting next week.
Oh, you're talking about the kid that
Frankfort Middle School
was not allowed to get to her parents or get released from school or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I was following that too. Ooh.
And so I have a couple other. Troy and I, not Troy, Mr. Ravenscroft, out of respect, the superintendent. We went back and forth. We talked once on the phone. We emailed. I'll read you his email, but so the vote came down.
Do you want to tell a little bit about what happened for people that
Yeah,
might not know?
yeah.
Before we read the email?
I have the Facebook post from from the family, so I'll read the Facebook post. And I talked with the father, the stepdad, and with the girl. And so this was the week where Mineral County Board had to approve the resignation. This was in the Mineral Daily News Tribune. The resignation of Frankfort Middle School principal Julie McBee was approved without comment Tuesday by the Mineral County Board of Education. Her resignation became effective April 7th. So that did happen. McBee sent a message out via Facebook Messenger to the staff of Frankfort Middle School saying, the decision to resign was one that had been weighing on my heart for quite some time, but my love for school always would push it aside. God always has a plan for us, and at this time I've decided to follow that. And I'm just reading the article from the Mineral County. Her resignation, the subsequent appointment of Assistant Principal Kevin Schupe, S-H-U-P-E, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, to serve as acting principal until the vacancy is filled, were both listed in the consent portion of the board's agenda for the regular meeting Tuesday. So this was printed on April 20th. So this was printed on Wednesday. So what happened is, I'll bring it up on, I forget the exact day. It was Mariska Thomas, which is a minor. This was a post. Mariska Thomas, was at school dance on Friday, and my mom was meant to pick me up around 30 minutes early for softball practice. This was a post on Facebook, so it's public knowledge.
So she's at a school dance.
Yep.
She's doing a school softball practice, and her mom's coming to pick her up.
My phone ended up dying, and I saw my mom pulling in, so I said to Miss McBee, and tell her that my mom is pulling here to pick me up for softball practice. She said, you can't leave till 5:30 p.m. And I go back to the cafeteria to tell my mom to come over to the window. I did find out that her mother is deaf, FYI. And that was by Thomas.
Oh, this is not sounding good for the schools.
Yeah. So this is by the stepfather, the wife's, I believe they're married. She told me that the baby was sleeping in the car. So I told her, Miss McBee is not letting me leave. She runs up to the window and asks what's going on. And I tell her what happened. And Mrs. Horvey walked up and told me that I can't talk to my mom through the window and I have to ignore her. And then she yells at me. So I look at her and I tell her if I'm not allowed out of the school to talk to my mom, I will talk to her through the window. Miss Horvey told me to tell my mom to go to the front door and she can come in. I told my mom, and so she actually was signing to her mother. She was communicating because her mother is deaf and a sign language. I tell my mom goes up front for like 20 minutes waiting for me, and I'm telling the principal that I have to go to my mom. My friends come over and ask what's wrong, and I explain to them, and then being on the team, they call their moms, and they all show up. So the other mothers show up. And they're talking to the principal, telling her she got to let us out. So they were leaving the school activity to go to the school softball practice.
Activity, yes.
Then Miss McBee yells at us to go, and my friend Haley tries to run and get her stuff and sneak out to her mom, but Miss McBee pulled her back, and she ran to the bathroom, and she was having a panic attack. Then the principal walks in the bathroom and says she's being dramatic, so Haley ran to the gym. Like 10 minutes later, Mr. Shoup told us to leave, and we will run to our moms. Now, Mr. Shoup's the assistant principal who's now taking over. He told us to leave and run to our moms. They did not let us go get our stuff, so we waited for a bit. Then all the kids in the school started running out of the school. So me and the team ran inside and got our stuff to leave. Then the cops showed up, and we tell them what happened and show them videos of what happened. So this was a post that was put online. Mr. Ravenscroft did respond to me, and I asked him any updates on the ability to interview. We want to interview him about it because we do believe in getting both sides of the story.
People here.
And, Sheena's been great at that. Mitch has been great at that. I mean, I still text Mitch and ask him for, hey, how do I do this and this? And they're very transparent. And I'm not saying Troy isn't. I've been trying to contact him. I said, any updates or the ability to interview you? We've interviewed the family and always want your viewpoint. Let me know. We want to publish this this week. His response on Tuesday of this week, which had been April 19th, before the board approved it, he says, I appreciate the inquiry and opportunity, but I cannot comment on personal matters, including resignations. That would have been the principal's resignation. The investigation was completed and necessary steps have been taken to, among other things, ensure improved communications between the school and its stakeholders. Thank you, Troy. So that's what information I have. There's some stuff that we heard that it's actually a school. Thomas told me that it was a school policy that kids could not leave one activity early. And so I don't know if anybody in Mineral County, if that's the case or if that was what they said. I don't know. I don't have that information.
That would be very hard. Number one, a parent always has the right to their child.
Mm.
And if any school system tried to keep me from their child, I'd immediately do kidnapping charges. That's my child, not the school's.
I agree.
That's first thing. So you can throw out whatever policy you have there.
Well, here's
a
a question.
I mean,
if the
board, it's different from a child leaving on their own.
I agree, but now we're making an assumption because we don't know. But with the Board of Education, Mineral County, would the Board of Education had to approve that type of policy? And if they did, I'm curious because to me that has no legal standpoint.
Especially when it's another school event. It's not like it would be like telling them, okay, you're at this dance and they have a game. Forget practice. They have a game. You can't go to the game until the dance is over.
But even outside of that, if I need to come get my child from school, I should have access to my child at any time. Anytime. So that, and we need to, and I don't know if Troy or anybody from Mineral County watches, it would be great to know what the policy was. I did email Troy back and ask for details. I haven't heard from him yet, but it'd be great to know if that's the case. I don't think Isla goes to Hardy County, and I don't think I don't know. I should ask maybe Sheena and the principal as well, the elementary school, but I can't imagine that being a policy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you pass that policy, you're just opening up yourself to a lawsuit.
We need to find out.
Yeah.
I don't want to make assumptions, but it was very interesting. So that was a very interesting story. Now,
listen, the one thing that COVID did is, and for better or worse, parents' eyes are open now to what's going on in the schools. So you better be above board on everything because parents are now watching, which is good. I mean, parents should have watched before.
Agreed. And so here's a question, and I need to ask Sheena and is it Mr. Armentrout? Is he the elementary school?
Yes.
Okay.
Principal. Mm-hmm.
Principal. I need to ask them. So Isla went and she had a blast. She went yesterday to Smoke Hole Caverns for a trip with her school, and she was so pumped. But if I would have went to Smoke Hole Caverns, would I be able to say Isla's going to come with me? That's a good question. I don't know how the school handles that. And so I'm saying hypothetically, if first off, how can they confirm I'm her dad? So there's a lot of gray areas in that, right? Because
I mean,
If it was an emergency, I probably would have to call. There's probably a process to go through. But imagine being a chaperone, and this dude walks up and says, "Isla's coming with me. I'm her dad." If I was a chaperone, I would be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Well, most of the time there are teachers, staff
correct.
with them too.
There's staff, correct.
With them
they had
too.
some parents, chaperones, and staff. Yes,
and I would assume that as a parent, that you have to sign something when the child goes into the school, so they know who the contact points are.
My wife may have done that. I don't know.
So you would be hard pressed for that to legally stand up that they kept you from their child.
I think there had to be a process, because, like I said, if I'm a chaperone and some random person comes up and says that's my child, I would say
I see your point as a chaperone.
I would say no, even if a teacher. I mean, I know Isla's teacher, Mrs. Dean, and her husband know him, but if a teacher didn't know me, what's the teacher going to say? I'm just a random dude walking up.
And I see your point.
There must be a process.
I see your point.
But they were at school. They were at school.
That's a tough one. You're also talking middle school, which is older. You're talking about parents come. Okay, so let me push back on that, because once the school event is over, they let those kids go with whoever comes.
It's true.
So that
good point.
is an excuse.
Good point.
On the school's part.
I'm talking.
Well, that would be an excuse.
The Pendleton, the Frankfort Middle School thing is different. I was thinking about.
Yeah, well, even
a
like
field
listen,
trip, you know?
I after hearing this, they probably want me at their dances. I DJ dances. When they're over, there aren't teachers there looking to see if Johnny gets in with his dad or mom.
I wonder if there's an age. There has to be some type of guidance. You know, I'm sure in the elementary school, I mean, to get a kid out of school is not, you know.
Yeah, well, you have to sign them out.
But I don't. There has to be some type of formal process. I know in Illinois, when I go to get my son, it's literally, I feel like I'm guilty walking into the school, because they're like, "Who are you? What are you for?" You know, and I had to go through all this stuff. I'm like,
but they've checked it, but they did not deny your child to you.
No, they did not, and they did not.
I'm not saying you can't check the person. You know, you're just not handing a child over to. But whoever.
I'm wondering if it's age based. Was my long question, because you know, Thomas is 9, Isla is 6, soon to be 7. My older girls are 15 and 14. They're in Florida, so I have no clue. I've never got them out of school in Florida. They fly up, so I don't know. But there must be some policy, and it'd be good. It'd actually be interesting. I got here. It'd be good to kind of ask and find that out for Grant and Hardy.
Yeah, what is the policy? Because
I don't know.
I'm just saying, and as you see what happened with the resignation, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they say resignation, but we know what it is. You know, it's one of those, you can resign.
Yeah.
Or you can be fired.
Yeah.
Deals.
President Nixon resigned.
Yes.
Before being impeached, but
yeah. So it was obviously there was something that was not right, not kosher in that situation.
Well, let me go on. This is another thing, and Sheena and I communicated. She's great. I worked with her at Keaton Valley Bank. Good Lord, over 20 years ago. Yeah, and she's really nice. So there was another thing different from Middle County. I asked her. I said on Facebook there was allegations about a teacher with a sexual past. What do you know about it? And she said, her response was, I'm reading from her text, there are safeguards in place to make sure the teachers we hire are properly trained and clear of any past crimes or charges that would endanger students. Every employee must pass a background check and have a teaching license to apply and be hired. Mr. Birch, who was the gentleman in question, had both a teaching license and a clear background check, so we have no reason to believe he is of any danger to our students. We are actively investigating the depth of the teacher's past since the release of the news broadcast, which shared some concerning accusations. I think it made it to like Harrisonburg News or something. I'm guessing. But I remember seeing it was outside of Facebook.
Yeah. And once, it was all on YouTube also.
Okay, because once it made the news and then it went iMorph, it's kind of interesting in a smaller area how things bounce around. She said, student safety is our number one priority, and we'll be sure to address any concerns brought to our attention. And so Sheena, I mean, if there's anything I see, and I say to Sheena, tell us what's going on. I think there was something in Petersburg with where Mitch and Mr. Raven, Mr. Webster, right, about the knife thing. And so I said, hey, let us know. We'll put out to clear the air.
And he talked about it and told us, and that's what we want to do. We want to get our facts right. And that's why we reached out to both Mr. Ravenscroft and to Mariska Thomas's parents so that we could get the full story behind that. And it just didn't. It did not pass the smell test, and obviously someone paid for it with their job. And
I'm not good at making up stuff, so my wife would tell me. But there's one more thing that Sheena sent to me I thought was pretty interesting. When she talked, it's been probably 2 months ago, she talked about I don't know if downsizing is the right word.
It was a merger.
She talked about the merge. And so interestingly enough, she said that there's less students in Hardy County. Hardy County is growing, but it's not growing in your K through 12.
It was the East Hardy side of it, though.
Correct, in Baker, Warrensville. Yes. So there was some comments. I think 14. I'm guessing this. I'm not making it up. I'm guessing it was like 14 or 15 teachers or staff or something were downsized. She said, any downsizing we have done due to dropping enrollment in Hardy. Any downsizing we have done is due to dropping enrollment in Hardy County. We are funded for a certain number of teachers based upon student enrollment. We must stay within that formula in order to maintain our budget, which makes sense. Yeah. They have, because classes have to have so many kids per teacher or whatnot. But that was something interesting. That's off your topic. But
it was just really odd because just this week, what are they called? Whoever, I guess it would be the Board of Education in Charleston.
Okay.
Just said that we are 1,000 teachers short in West Virginia.
Gotcha.
So, but I mean,
Not here.
Bigger cities and things like that. So last one.
Okay. Fire away.
Last night.
I didn't watch any news.
No, that's right. No, last night or yesterday, the Florida House passed revoking Disney's special tax and self-governing status.
Yep.
It now goes to DeSantis to sign.
Okay.
What's that going to do to Disney?
First,
they're hemorrhaging money now.
I had no clue that they had this special right. Apparently,
and for people that didn't know what it was,
go ahead.
Walt Disney, in his forward thinking,
60, 70 years ago,
yes, to move to Florida to open this up, said, I want to govern this swatch of land.
Yep.
I want our own building inspectors, no permits, we'll take care of the roads. They even have their own fire department, police, they're their own nation.
City. Yeah.
Almost.
Well, it's kind of like the Vatican is in Rome.
Yeah.
It's its own government.
So literally, if they wanted to build a 10,000 foot high monstrosity, they didn't have to have a single permit at all.
I'll push back on that. They had to have, I don't know if it's permit, but when they built, and I'm guessing, I hate to use the word guessing, I'm going from memory. When they built, I don't know if it was the palace or whatever, they had to keep it under a certain height because of aircraft laws.
So, so maybe there is a federal.
There was a FFA
law,
which is federal. What's the ref? What's the other FA stand for?
Federal Flying
Aviation.
Yeah,
but they did have an issue with the height of. I don't know if it was a Princess Castle or whatnot. They do fireworks there, and there are certain things that they had to do because of flying. That I remember reading books about.
They're federal, but as far as they didn't need if the albino alligator was about extinct, they could still build on the swampland because that was their.
How many
land.
acres did he buy?
Oh God, it was a lot. It was a lot because they still haven't developed it all.
Disney is. It's like a fat guy's nightmare. When you look at the map, you're like,
walk it.
We have to go to a different country for lunch. Are you kidding me?
So they're saying that in just the property tax alone, it's tens of millions of dollars that they didn't have to pay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
That they will now have to pay.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I got to tell you, it's I don't know. They're a for-profit business. They're financially successful. Good for Mr. Walt Disney to have the foresight to see that. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Obviously, the new CEO did not have the foresight to see what was coming.
You know, I remember Michael Jordan years ago. Actually, there was a special we had on Netflix maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
and I
loved that.
I do think awesome. Michael Jordan's better than LeBron James. I'll say that on record. I'll probably get some hate mail from that. But he said Republicans wear tennis shoes just like Democrats do. And he said, I'm a businessman. I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
And I'm going to market my product to anybody, which I think is, as a business person, I think that's brilliant, right? And some businesses over the last 8 to 10 years have just had a different thought process. And it has helped them make some very loyal customers, but it's actually turned off a percentage of customers. And that's, as if I was on the board of directors and our CEO was doing that, I would be furious and I would be as vocal as I could, because that's
so we can see if there's a correlation. You know, I think more study needs to be done, because the studying I've done is it's not a direct correlation. It might be some of it, but the Disney streaming took a severe nosedive.
Yeah, well, a bunch of people
they say they're boycotting is what they say.
Yeah, they got off the. I've never been part of Disney Plus, but they got off the service. A lot of people did, and it comes down to, I mean, it's such a divisive world between politics and now. I mean, it's just another way to keep putting in a wedge. The challenge with companies are, if you limit yourself to only those who believe in your ideals
a certain way, anyway.
If you do that, you just have to understand that this is my niche market. Disney is not a niche market. No. Disney is, I bet you in Petersburg, Moorfield, I bet you probably at least 50% of people have been there once in their life. And I would say I feel pretty good about that number. So as a business, it's just not the right.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to know that, okay, I'm starting a business where I just sell stuff for left-handed people. Okay. More than half of the world is right-handed. I have to know that...
More than half.
Yeah.
It's like 80% or something.
I have to know that that's a niche market.
It's, yeah.
You know, so you can do it. I'm not saying that you can't, but now Disney World is trying to go for a population size that is maybe 2% of all people.
And here's the thing.
You're going to be in trouble.
There's a difference between saying we don't believe in being hateful. We don't believe in murder. We don't believe in... I mean, those are pretty... I shouldn't say, because California is a little different. They're pretty fundamental things. But when you start getting into some of the niche items that they jump onto, and it's sad.
When you hear what it was about, the whole bill, and this was started it, the whole bill in Florida was just... You can't teach sex any, not one kind. You can't teach sex from kindergarten to 3rd grade.
Which I think is not a strong bill. I don't think our schools should teach sex to our children at all. I think the parents. And if the schools don't think the parents are doing it, think it.
Yeah.
It's not your job to go home. So I think that's something that needs to be done.
Your job is to make sure my kid can write, read, do math, get prepared for checking.
Agreed.
I think they need to go over finances, would be very strong for school. That's your job, not teaching.
No, I agree. Yeah. So the Florida thing, I thought well, K through 3, I thought, geez.
And there's another, is it either Alabama or Georgia? Maybe I'm off.
Part 2
is doing further. They're trying to pass right now K through 5th. No teachings at all. None. And that's not one-sided. That's not like saying, you can't teach to be, one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's no, you're not teaching sex, period.
But
from this age range.
What did the media do with that bill?
They called it the "Don't Say Gay" bill.
Correct, and
which it wasn't.
It's just like the same bill that when Trump came in office, he signed the bill of no immigration from these countries. It was called the hate Muslim bill, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had a colleague of mine say, "That's hate Muslim bill." I said, "Come here." I actually had it. I said, I put it up. I said, "Let's read it together." We read the whole bill. Not once did it say Muslim. It was the countries that actually Obama even identified.
Yeah.
And so it's the news. That's why CNN Plus or whatever. Yeah, it's why they went down the hill.
$3 billion they lost on that investment.
Well, it was a nice investment.
Discovery is probably not happy right now because they just bought it.
It's Denzel Washington, who I really I follow a lot of his comments he makes, and he said, when you watch the news, you're misinformed. When you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. And the reporter said, what do you do? And he said, I have no clue. It's a mess.
It is.
But it's true. It's like, and I think Americans are slowly, I don't want to say slowly, I think they're really, whether it's left or right television, whether it's Fox News, CNN, whatever it may be, it's not news, it's opinion.
What happened to just saying, Russia invaded Ukraine today? Let's all pray for that country instead of trying to read into it. Well, because you hear now, the Ukrainians actually are Nazis and have lots of Nazis. And Russia, though, they're trying to do that. I mean, it's like you got to put this little twist on it to get one side or the other fighting against each other.
It's all for viewers. It's all for money.
Yeah, but you see that some of these new news networks are not pulling in viewers, and then they complain because podcasts have so far above.
Why aren't we making $3 billion? What are we doing wrong in your room?
We have almost as many viewers as CNN does.
Just in the 3-4 counties we work with.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
So we pulled in 2,000 viewers on one of our shows, okay? Now, that's just here.
That was just Grant County, right?
Just Grant County.
Yeah.
For the whole day, one day of CNN, a whole day, not one show, the whole day, they only had 600,000 viewers. The whole day.
And that's out of a 365 million populated country.
Yeah. So
what are you saying, JR?
I'm saying that
we need to thank
if we can get up to 600
people?
Yes, we need to thank the 2,000 people for watching.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was great. That was our biggest podcast. It was actually 2.1 thousand. So 2,100.
That's called 2,100.
I know, but I don't know why they put it there. They put 2.1 thousand.
That they're getting ready for the millions.
Yeah.
I'll do the points when we get to 7 numbers.
Yeah. So
oh well.
So I want to do this more often. Just
we'll need to.
From the headline.
This was fun, and I enjoyed the Oreos. Just for the record,
you just wanted to eat an Oreo.
I love Oreos.
I know that.
I'm going to take them home to my daughter and get a big smile.
So normally we don't leave the comments open, but we're going to leave the comments open.
It'll be interesting to see what we got.
Interesting. I was a little harsh on the school systems, but I'm just saying as a dad.
Listen,
if anyone kept me from their child,
I don't think that's harsh. I think I don't think that's unrealistic. I mean, it's...
Listen, I stopped going to a pediatrician because they said I was not allowed to go in with my wife.
Yeah.
And I said, if you don't promote family, you don't get my money. And walked out. And we have not been back since.
Now, there's only one pediatrician. No, I'm just kidding.
No. There's tons of them. But I didn't. I'm like, I've went everywhere with my daughter.
No,
my wife and I go to all of our appointments together.
So that's a good thing. And unfortunately, I think you're the exception to the rule.
It is, but
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm
not
saying
have
unfortunately.
Someone tell me that I'm not allowed to go in with my daughter.
Understood.
So okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. We'll see how many views it gets and
taking my Oreos and going home.
We'll see what happens when the censors get a hold of this. I'm waiting for an episode to be pulled.
I had my first Facebook post ever get pulled down.
What was it?
It was the one I wrote to Mike and Mary. They said they went to see their daughter in Maine, and I said, "Did you kidnap her and bring her home?" And they said that was like not hate speech. They said it was, I forget what it was.
So the bots do not know what sarcasm is.
Well, that's one of the things they could say. They said, "Do you want to
appeal it?
Do you want to appeal it?" And I said, "Absolutely." And they said, "What did we not? Why?" And one of them was
sarcasm.
There was humor or something. Okay. And I clicked that when they put it back up.
Wait, is humor allowed though now?
No,
you're not allowed to laugh.
Not if you're Chris Rock. I don't want Mike to slap me. So or Mary. I think it'd be worse if Mary slapped me than Mike. But
who's going to be the comedian that picks on us being bald?
Oh,
because listen, she has alopecia.
Yeah,
that's what men have.
Yeah.
Listen, it's very rare in women. Listen, but that's why we're bald.
You better stop making fun of my head.
So everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. It's all in fun. Explore YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Check them out.